So Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, tries really hard to be this epic space opera movie, but unfortunately it just continues all of the mistakes that it made in the first movie, in this one, and honestly, genuinely, I really wanted to enjoy this movie, but the awful script just detracts and destroys any possible enjoyment. I mean, there are some redeeming aspects in this film, so let's at least first start with some of the good points. I feel like all of the nods to Star Wars is pretty hilarious. For example, trying to bring back to life their equivalent version of the Darth Vader character, and this group of rebel warriors just banding together to fight this awful mothership type empire characters. And the concept of a super evil villainous protege actually rebelling and turning onto the good side after she was unceremoniously blamed and used as a scapegoat for this evil guy to rise to power, I think conceptually is actually really good. And of course, Zack Snyder is a bit of a visual cinematography genius, so I think some of the battles do actually look really good. However, on that same point, I have got a criticism. So by the same token that some of the action sequences do actually look good, all of the criticism that everybody was making with the first movie in terms of an overuse of slow motion is back here. I mean, I'm sure that they reduced some of them after the heavy criticism of that first movie, but still, I feel like there's so much overuse of it that it ends up just detracting from the benefit of even using it in the first place. And some of the fight sequences just go on for way too long, so they just really do overstay their welcome, and some of them are also really boring, unfortunately. And I don't feel like they struck the right balance in terms of this being this great, grandiose setting in space, whilst also feeling really intimate in terms of the planet and its inhabitants and all of the war sequences that are taking place on this planet. I just feel like, unfortunately, it was just a little bit of a mess from that perspective. And as much as Djimon Hounsou tried to tell these massive, epic monologue type speeches and trying to inspire everyone and trying to get them ready for what's to come and just get them in the right mindset, you just couldn't connect with it. I mean, thankfully, it didn't feel cringy, but it just felt really empty and really hollow. And because you're just so disconnected with this world, when big things happen with certain characters, you just want to feel it. You want to feel all of the emotion. But I just feel like because of the way in which this movie is constructed, it is just void of any connection with any of the characters. And what's a little bit frustrating is that, you know, in the first movie especially, you're introduced to this band of exceptional warriors. Kora has gone out across the universe to find the best of the best of the best, and has banded them together. And even in this movie, you hear of the epic past stories and what they are able to achieve on the battlefield, and they really are setting these characters up to be like Avenger level fighters that are just going to destroy the Empire with ease. But some of them just died so easily in battle, and I understand, you know, not all of them are going to survive, and they are showing the wrath of the Empire, and nobody is beyond getting defeated. But I just feel like it was unfortunate the way in which certain characters was defeated, as it was just so disappointing, so anticlimactic. And if you are going to defeat these epic warriors, at least first give them some epic sequences to show how badass they can be in battle before you just defeat them so easily. And then by that same token, which was just a little bit bizarre, was the fact that actually this group of farmers are getting trained to battle these unstoppable, super trained Mothership Empire warriors, and the fact that they're able to defeat them and get trained up so easily and so quickly whilst also hiding all of the grain was just so unbelievably unrealistic. And the robot character should have and could have been so much cooler than his presence ended up being, but I just feel like his inclusion was only really there for style over substance, and he was only there in one scene where he was telling Kora that she's got no chance, and then suddenly he's just jumping into the battlefield. But I feel like they just could have and should have just expanded that character so much more if he is going to be so pivotal. And then the villain's plan of destroying this planet with the Death Star equivalent was just annoyingly cringeworthy. That is cringeworthy, actually, in terms of how desperate they are in terms of just wanting to be Star Wars. So let's go through all of the main players now one by one. So Sofia Boutella is, I feel like, able to demonstrate that she is a really good lead actress, and I feel like as Kora, she does play her from an emotional perspective really, really well. And like I said, in the first movie, they were just setting up these warrior characters to be these epic fighters, and she is an epic fighter. She is able to defeat so many characters easily in the first movie, but over here, maybe her emotions were just getting to her too much, but she was just so easily defeated that it was like, this is not the same character. And then by Ed Skrein of all people, who, like I said in my first movie review, is just so horribly miscast. This guy is trying so hard to be Darth Vader, but it's just failing at every single attempt. And whilst, no doubt, he does do some awful things, I just feel like he doesn't have that presence at all to be a threatening Darth Vader type character. I thought Michiel Huisman was good as the farmer turned warrior character, and I love that he's got that dark rebellious side in him that you did see in the first movie and was definitely continued in this movie. And I feel like from a love interest perspective, the romance storyline between his character and Kora's was actually pretty decent. Like I said, Djimon Hounsou tried so hard, and I really want to give him credit for just trying really, really hard in this movie, but unfortunately everything surrounding his performance just really let him down. We've got Doona, who is supposed to be this epic swordsman warrior, and she's the only person really who has the lightsaber equivalent weapons in this movie, but it was an absolute travesty that she was defeated so easily. And the kids are supposed to be impressed or in awe with her, and if they're trying to mirror the young Jedi storyline, I feel like that should have and could have been so much better if they were going to properly do it. And Stasne, of course, you saw him as the animal whisperer in the first movie, but I feel like he was pretty much wasted over here as well. And then we have all of the farmer characters. I feel like they were fine for the job that they were doing. This movie, honestly, should have and could have been so much better than it ended up being. And surprisingly, despite the fact that it is getting absolutely destroyed by critics, there is a potential for 4 more movies as it is envisioned as a trilogy, which is going to have 2 parts each. I mean, I really question if that is a sensible decision, because surely all of the investment that they made into this movie hasn't necessarily paid off. And then apparently there are also going to be TV show spin-offs, there's going to be other movie spin-offs focusing on other characters and other parts of this world. I honestly don't know what they're thinking, as Rebel Moon could have been really good, but unfortunately it hasn't been. And so for all of the reasons I explained in this movie review, I'm going to give Rebel Moon Part 2 Scargiver a 1.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of this film? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.